Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Time for one of our two guests of the day. And again, our thanks to our title sponsor, Able Auctions. Before we get to Farhan, let me just say this. I mentioned that I have a lemon for a fridge, okay? The Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox.
Oh, boy.
We've already had 3 submissions from people who, I'm not going to mention the brand, but you, just so you know, folks, you were bang on with the brand. I wish I
just
could
mention it so they can get better as a company, Don.
I don't know what their sponsorship situation
They
is.
don't sponsor us. Just say it.
With Czech. Well, they might not sponsor us, but they might sponsor other programs on Czech. So
listen,
I'm not
if
sure.
you're going to rip your fridge, rip the company, for crying out loud.
But let me just say that the 3 people who texted in guessing the brand name of my fridge, bang on.
I want to
horrible.
I want to say it. Hey, what was the fridge in the 70s and 80s that was popular?
There were a lot of them. Okay. Frigidaire was popular back then. That's not the brand, by the way.
I remember a fridge.
Sunbeam was big.
Yeah, that's it. That's a
okay.
Sunbeam.
We had a Sunbeam fridge.
Yeah,
it lasted forever.
Like
my dad, it was his beer fridge. It was, it's just incredible.
Was it avocado?
No, we had an avocado fridge, but it wasn't a Sunbeam. My dad had his beer fridge downstairs.
The avocado fridge.
Well, there was Harvest Gold,
whoever was
avocado.
Sitting in a boardroom meeting going, here's a color for you.
It was the 70s. It fit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring in Farhan. Farhan, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I think Dollywall was using a Simpson Sears Kenmore fridge. Right
that's
very good.
That's
very
it.
good.
Right? Simpson Sears, you're right on. And Woodward's had fridges too.
And you think about where Farhan grew up there in Central Burnaby, Simpson Sears up on Kingsway there. You probably went there all the time.
But, he's a New West guy.
That is now Metrotown. Like I remember when we had the Kelly Douglas building and Simpson Sears next to it, and that was it. And
that's it.
Then it became Metrotown.
It was a big deal. One of my
New
best friends'
dads
used to work there. Hey, Farhan, I texted you on Saturday night or Sunday morning. You did a fabulous job of play-by-play on Saturday.
Really well done. Really well
versus
done.
Lions. Are any more gigs, play-by-play gigs in the near future?
I hope so. We got a pretty good roster with guys like Rod Smith and Rod Black and certainly Dustin Nielsen and some others. So it's hard to get in there, but I'm hoping to get at least one more before the season ends.
Well, if they saw the broadcast, I'm sure your next gig is in the near future. Okay, so the Lions are 3-2. What do you like about them, Farhan? What do you don't like about them?
Well, first of all, I love the depth they're showing in their receiving core. I mean, you lose Lamar Durant and Dominic Rhymes, and you're able to drop in Javon Katoy and Keon Hatcher on his birthday, and those 2 guys didn't miss a beat, right? So I know that Durant continues to work on the side at practice, not really taking part in any kind of first-team reps or even receiver drills for that matter, just doing some additional work on the side. So I know he's hoping to get back in this week, but he's going to have to get through a few practices. But again, I mean, just that depth of receiving core is really good. I think Mike Riley continues to get better and better and get on the same page with these guys. So I think that part's impressive. And then I think on the defensive side of the ball, I like what they're doing with their defensive line. This was the first time since the Calgary game that they were able to dress 6 import defensive linemen. So they had 3 tackles, 3 ends. They had a rotation full time, and you could just see the amount of pressure they were able to get. And they didn't have to blitz to get it. So I think they understand the importance of having that full D-line rotation. And, really impressive to me that 5 of those 6 haven't played in the Canadian Football League before this season. So it speaks volumes for what the front office of the BC Lions, Neil McAvoy, their GM or co-GM, and Ryan Rigmaiden on the personnel side have been able to do to fortify this roster.
Lions in Montreal on Saturday. Owls won't have their head coach, Kahari Jones, who has contracted COVID. He won't be there. Farhan, you mentioned Michael Riley. What are you seeing this year versus 2019?
Well, more weapons and more protection, right? I mean, when you saw them a year ago, it was Burnham and it was Durant, and there was nothing else in that receiving core that they could legitimately work with. At least that's how they felt at that time, right? I mean, you had, the odd good game with Katoy here and there early on, and, they never really got Duron Carter going. So they got such a high percentage of targets that after a while, it really got easy for defenses to deal with those 2. And then on top of that, the offensive line just wasn't good enough. And now it's by and large the same cast of characters, but I think Kelly Bates has done a really good job with them, and there's a little more health there. So you look at guys like Suk Chung, who was banged up most of last year. I think he's feeling a lot fresher. Hunter Stewart feels healthy. Peter Godber's doing a reasonable job in his first year as a full-time starter. Joel Figueroa, I think, has looked really good. I think at times last year he was up and down. And even when they've had injuries at the right tackle, you lose a guy like Riker Matthews, and they've been able to replace him with Kent Perkins. And even, when they had Jarrell Broxton on the left side when Figueroa got hurt, I just think collectively the offensive line has been put in a better spot by their coaches, from a teaching standpoint with Kelly Bates, but also from a schematic protection standpoint from their offensive coordinator, Jordan McSimic. So, they're all on the same page a little bit. So he's getting protection. He's got more weapons, and he's been able to manage despite not having an arm that was 100%.
Hey, Farhan, let's go over to the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, the big question is he going to bounce back? Former Packers tight end Jermichael Finley saying yesterday he doesn't see the hunger in Rodgers anymore. It's time to play Jordan Love soon. So what are your thoughts on Rodgers?
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not going to say it's time to play Jordan Love soon. I think you need to do everything you can to get Aaron Rodgers right. And hopefully his pride will kick in if, in fact, that's a part of it, because you look at what a guy like Tom Brady did this offseason and the amount of time he spent trying to get his receiving core right, even if they were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing in COVID at times. And, and they won a Super Bowl, right? And so for Aaron Rodgers, he spent a lot of time this offseason doing other things. I think that drama had an effect on the team about whether or not he was going to come back. Did it affect his preparation level? Certainly looks that way if 1 week is to be believed. But, there were also comments about, to the effect of him saying that, I feel like I've proven everything I need to prove. And that's a bad place to be if you're a professional athlete, in my mind, if in fact he feels that way. So, is Finley right? Maybe the hunger's gone. I mean, you can certainly make that case that there's a lot of other things in play between the ears for Aaron Rodgers, but I still don't think it's Jordan Love time. I think they need to do everything they can because Rodgers is still healthy and physically capable of playing elite football.
Ross Tucker thinks that Rodgers this year looks too much like a yoga instructor. He's not a fan of what he's seen so far. Okay, Farhan, one more thing. Seahawks versus Titans this coming weekend. I saw your Twitter account. The NFC West, extremely strong. You like the Rams. Why?
Well, I just think they've got their missing piece, and that's the quarterback. The fact that they were able to get to a Super Bowl 2 years ago with Jared Goff was remarkable, and we've seen what he's become in the years since, right? And I just think he's a limited player. You've got a guy like Matthew Stafford who's just had lots of limitations around him when he was in Detroit previously. I think this guy's a fantastic player. He's still got some tread on the tires, and Sean McVay is going to get the most out of him. And, I think that, if you're close to it, you understand that guys like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are good receivers. But when you get a guy like Matthew Stafford throwing them the ball, you're about to find out just how darn good those guys are. I mean, it's shocking to think that a guy like Kupp led the NFL in yards after the catch a year ago, right? Because quite often I looked at the balls he was getting from Goff, and he wasn't necessarily in a catch and run position because of the location. So they've got some good players. You got Deshaun Jackson added to that mix. You've got Sony Michel, who's eventually kind of going to get up to speed and have a bigger role. I thought he was a really good player when he was in New England. And we know how good that defense is, led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. So, it's a defense that's been able to carry the team to whatever success they've had in the last couple of years. And I think with Stafford there, they're going to be able to do their part. And, so I like them in what is turning out to be by far the best division in football. I know the AFC West had 4 wins last week as well. But when you look at what the Cardinals did to the Titans, coupled with 3 teams that we know are pretty good in the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers, wow, that is just a murderer's row week after week.
Agreed. Farhan, thanks so much for this. All the best.
All right, take care, guys. Enjoy the Lions game on Saturday and the Seahawks game on Sunday.
You bet.